Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Rawlins, and I'm here with you guys for my first ever anime review retro. So today we're going to be talking about Death Note, episode 1. And man, listen, I gotta say, Death Note from episode 1 is going to be a really interesting series, man. I saw it last year because, like I said, I wanted to start up the whole anime review and shit last year, but I got preoccupied with college and other shit. But we're getting this shit started up now, and I have to say, Death Note is really interesting, man. And sure, it's an old series, but I'm new to the whole anime thing, even though I've been watching for like 6 years. But I never seen Death Note, and I've been hearing about it over the years, especially right now, since a live action film came out about it. My brother said it wasn't good, but this was a series I told my brother about last year. He freaking binge watched the fuck out of it, and he said he liked it. So, and when I saw the episode last year, I said, you know what, man, I can't wait to watch this. And the only reason I'm doing this is to document my journey, man. Like, Death Note, I never seen it before. I haven't gotten to episode 2 yet, but I'm freaking really anxious to see how that shit goes. But before we get started with that, gameplay is going to be in the background of all my videos right now. I'm thinking about doing something special for these reviews, but as of right now, gameplay is going to be in the background, man. Instead of just a still photo, just give you guys something interesting to look at, I guess. Something's better than nothing. I see people freaking playing Call of Duty, talking about other YouTube shit, and there was another one I saw. It was a different game. I forget which one it was. I think it was Grand Theft Auto. No, it wasn't Grand Theft Auto, but basically, people play random games that have nothing to do with the video. So why not watch me play some wrestling or something like that, talking about some fucking Death Note. It's something interesting to look at. Second thing I'll be talking about is I'm going to be discussing Death Note in full. So of course there's going to be spoilers and shit. Series is old. If you haven't watched it yet, come on, man. What is you doing? Start watching it. So with all that being said, let's get this shit started. So the series starts off with Shinigamis, and they're playing a game. I think it's, I want to say Pai Sho. I can't remember the fucking name of it. But, they're both Shinigami, and they invite their buddy Ryuk to come join them, right? Now, we find out later that Ryuk had dropped his Death Note in the human world, as they call it, or human realm. So Ryuk is like, you know what, man, well, he doesn't say it like this, but he's basically like, he's gonna keep to himself and shit. But that's when we first see Ryuk. And he knows what he did. He dropped his Death Note and shit. He's thinking about the repercussions, I assume, that are gonna come from it. So we get moved over into the human world. We see Light Yagami, who's the main protagonist of the series. And I guess he's like doing a Bible class or something. And he basically reads, I want to say a scripture or a sentence or something like that. Basically talking about God and shit. Nothing too important there. But we get introduced to him, someone in that segment. Then we go on to see a news report. He's hearing a news report about a 32-year-old man getting stabbed to death in his apartment. And this is what he says. Day in, day out, same news on permanent repeat. This is all so ridiculous. This world is rotten. He said those exact words. And listen, it made me think, man, because I watch the news a lot. I'm a young guy, and a lot of people say the same thing about the news. It's fucking sad. They're always talking about all this tragic shit. Shootings, fucking terrorist attacks, all that shit, man. And he, in a sense, is kind of right. World is rotten, There's no such thing as a freaking good and perfect world. But as we continue, we see Light in class, and outside of the school building, a notebook falls out from the sky, which he goes and picks up, I guess, after class. So he's looking at it. He says, Death Note, huh? He opens it up, he looks at it, calls it the Notebook of Death, and then he reads it. He said that any human's name that is written in this book shall die. He calls it, he thinks like, pretty lame. He says, no different than one of those chain letters that, you get, like a text message saying that, oh, yo, if you don't send this out to everyone or something like that, one of your friends or family members will die, or some dumb shit. I remember seeing something like that, and I'm guessing that's what he's talking about. So he's going over the rules of the Death Note, and he said the proper way of doing this, write your person's name, write the name of a person in the book, but one of the main rules is the person's face should be in your ride when writing the book, so that the person who shares the same name will not be killed by accident. So, like, for example, it's going to be a weird example, but we're going to use this. Let's say if I had a Death Note, right, and I had to write someone's name in the book, like maybe Derail Gatekeeper Drew. Check him out every Saturdays on Derail Gatekeeper channel. And wrestler Drew McIntyre. Granted, their names are different, but they both share the same name, Drew. Number one way of distinguishing the difference, gotta have the face in the mind while writing the name in the book. So it's pretty interesting, man. Another rule: cause of death must be written in the book within 40 seconds. Unless if it's not, person will just die of a heart attack. And details of the cause of death must be written within 6 minutes and 40 seconds of the person's name being written in the book. So he describes it as pretty detailed for just a prank, because obviously, like, if any normal person was to stumble upon the Death Note, they'd be like, "Oh, that is a dumbass prank. It's fucking crazy, man." So he says, you know what, he's pretty doubtful about it, but he wants to try it out. So he's watching TV, he's watching the news, and he stumbles upon an event on the news where a person has 8 people hostage in a daycare center, and the day prior to that, the same person had attacked 6 people at a shopping center. This series takes place in Japan, anime, Japanese, but I just want to clarify, this series did take place in Japan. The name of this person was, I think it's Kodo Utaharaga, or some weird Japanese shit. But the 8 people, and this is the reason why I think it's justified, the 8 people who were taken hostage, within those 8 people included teachers, adults, but children. So he writes the name in the book, right? 40 seconds pass. He's like, the book's fake. It don't work. He began to doubt it. Suddenly, hostages start running out of the goddamn daycare center. And then the people on the news basically announced that the suspect just collapsed. Like, the agents or the SWAT team, or I forgot what they're called. I know there's a specific name for them, what they were calling investigators. I don't fucking know. But they denied shooting the dude. The hostages said that the suspect just collapsed. So Light's like, no, man, this is a coincidence. But he said, there's only one way to be for sure about it. And that's to test it out again. So he's in school, and this kid he called Pseudo is bullying another student. It's like, man, didn't you say you're going to give me $20 today? He's like, no, I didn't. But then Light's thinking to himself, like, man, you know what? I should write his motherfucking name in the goddamn book. Because he's a bully, and Light doesn't like that shit. I don't know if Pseudo bullied him or what, but he's like, nah, I shouldn't kill people that I know with this book. So what happens is Light just leaves the situation alone. Bully gets his $20. But while walking around later on during the day, he sees this woman, right? Car pulls up next to her, and it's a bunch of motherfucking drunk dudes, right? They get out, it's like, oh man, this is a pretty lady, They basically finna get down to business and fucking take her kitty cat, man. Take her kitty cat. And I'm like, wow. So the guy's name is Taku. I forgot what the fuck his last name was, but it wasn't important anyway. He had like maybe, I want to say two people with him. So Taku hops out of there, like, yeah, let's strip her down. They pin her up against the fucking wall and shit. They're getting ready to do their thug thizzle. Motherfucking Light writes his name in a book, right? And then he made sure that the main way he dies, he wants to write a specification in there. So his specification is later revealed to be hit by a truck. Now, this girl escapes, starts running. Taku, of course, tries to pursue her. While doing that, a truck comes, smacks his ass, and kills him. And Light's like, no, man, this is real. This is real. So, we see a scene of Ryuk basically explaining to his buddies that, yo, I dropped my death note in the human realm, man. And the guys were like, yo, so you're not going to convince the old man to give you another death note? I guess his boss or whatever the fuck. So, basically, Ryuk's going to go down there. And I don't know if I said this before, but 5 days passed already. So, we go to another scene where Light gets home and he runs into his mom. She's just getting ready to head out. And he gets some exam scores. I think it's called the Nationwide State Exam or whatever the fuck. He scores pretty high up on there, number 1. And she said, wow, that's the best scores you ever gotten. And he's like, yeah. So, Light says he's going to go to his room to study. And his mom asks him, like, okay, do you want anything? I guess she's like going to a store or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to my room to study. Please don't interrupt me. He goes in there, shuts the door, dark as shit in the goddamn room. And he says, I already have what I want. He starts maniacally laughing. This, for him being a protagonist, and I already kind of know who he is, because I heard his name a bunch of times, because I watched people like from Everworld and shit, and they mentioned Death Note. So I know what role Light plays. In a sense, I don't have like 100% knowledge on him, but I know. Well, for people who want to watch this, I'm not even gonna say it, but he starts laughing maniacally, and even by the end of this episode, you're gonna figure out what type of stance Light's taking. But Ryuk pops up. He's like, man, looks like you took quite a liking to the book. Light off bat knew that Ryuk was a Shinigami, a god of death, if I haven't explained that before in the beginning. But Light says after finding the Death Note, he hasn't been more sure or more confident on what to do. Ryuk says something along the lines of, man, I haven't seen anyone have or write this many names in their Death Note. He explains that he's the only human on the planet that has found the Death Note and has used it. He has written several humans' names in the span of over 5 days. He's like, man, you definitely take quite a liking to it. So Light's basically asking, like, man, so are you going to take my soul or whatever? You're going to punish me. Ryuk basically explains that once the Death Note hits the floor of the human world, it becomes part of it. Now, since Light picked it up, it's his book now. That's the rule, apparently. So, he can give it away, but Ryuk would have to erase Light's memories of the Death Note. So, he said, man, I'm not going to get punished for this? And Ryuk says something along the lines of, not necessarily, but you'll feel the fear and pain known only to humans that use the Death Note. And when it's his time, Ryuk will have to write his name, Light's name, in his Death Note. So, he also explains that when you're using Death Note, you can no longer spend eternity in heaven or hell or something like that. So I'm guessing he can't go to either of those places when he dies. He says that the Death Note serves as the only link between Light and Ryuk as a Shinigami, because Light's mom comes to the room, brings some apples and shit. The neighbors had brought him over, whatever the hell. And, Light's wondering, like, man, she can't see you or whatever. So, but Ryuk basically explains that no one can see or hear him but Light. So, and the Death Note serves as a link between them. Light questions if he was chosen for this whole thing, but as if it's like a whole fake thing. But Ryuk basically explains that this was just nothing but a mere accident. The whole reason why he came down to Earth is because that all Shinigami's up there are basically bored. All they do is take naps, gambles, and write names in the Death Note or whatever the fuck. So they're not doing shit interesting up in the whole Shinigami realm. But the main part of this conversation between Light and Ryuk was Light had basically came up with the whole goal. He explained his whole goal that he wants to rid the world of all the bad guys, all the criminals, and he wants to have a world that is made of only peaceful and hard-working people. That's his thing. That's his goal. And he already exhausted the list of all the major criminals, and he will go after the less more guilty and punish them. He explains the way of doing this. He's like, okay, so the most evil people are gonna die from like heart attacks and shit, and then all the less guilty people, all the less evil people, I guess, are gonna live longer, but they're gonna suffer with like disease and shit. So I don't think that's right. I probably got that backwards, but it sounds backwards to me, even though I have it written down here in the notes. But it makes more sense. Like, yeah, you're gonna live longer because you did less, but you know, the people who did the worst, they're just gonna die immediately. And he said eventually everyone will be eliminated from the planet who's done some evil deeds or whatever. So he wants people to know that he's the one who's passing judgment on the wicked. He wants people to know that he's responsible for all that shit. And it shows a flashback where he explains all this. You know, it explains like he's contemplating, man, I killed two people from this book. But that's when he comes to the resolution that he is going to be using the Death Note to change the world. That's where that gets all explained. The worst will die immediately, as I said. The less guilty will die slow from disease. And Light Ryuk explains that only Light will be the only bad person on this planet. He says, I'm a hard-working honor student. I will become a god, man. I want to be a god of this new world that I'm going to create. And the episode concludes with Light saying that Ryuk's response is, man, humans are interesting. So that's how the episode ends. And listen, I have to say, Death Note episode 1 was pretty damn good. This is my first ever anime review, and I'm getting into the swing of things. I think I did okay, but I can't wait to get on to episode 2. You can already tell, Light, or this is my opinion, but Light's already can be deceived or perceived as a criminal in a sense for what he's doing. But when you look at it with everything that's going on today in this world, and he even posed this question, am I really doing a bad thing by getting rid of these people? So it's interesting, man. Yeah, the world's not perfect, and it's never gonna be. But, and this is the main thing that I wonder, if anyone had the same type of tool that Light had, would you use it to change the world? Like, of course, getting rid of all the criminals, that's the main thing that you can do with it. And you can either do good or bad with the Death Note. If I had that tool, me personally, I wouldn't use that shit. Would I contemplate on using it? Yeah. Hell yeah, I definitely would. That's I'm not even gonna lie. But if I had to, I'd use it. If I 100% had to, yeah, I'd use the Death Note. But I'm not that type of person to be like, oh, you know what, I don't like you, so boop, 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 die of a heart attack, motherfucker. 40 seconds. You got 40 seconds to live. No, I wouldn't do anything like that. But it's really interesting, the whole premise of the series. And like I said, I can't wait for episode 2 to continue the series. My brother freaking ran through that shit like motherfucking Roadrunner last year. And I said I was going to watch it, but I wanted to review it too. So, first time seeing Death Note. I honestly like it. Ryuk's obviously going to have a close eye on Light. Episode 2, I can't wait to get to it, man. And hell, if you guys got any type of suggestions that I could do, like maybe change the whole reviewing style, instead of going over a whole episode, maybe I could talk about parts of it. But I thought this would be a good way just to give a complete rundown of the episode. You get a summary, and somewhat of my thoughts. This episode accomplished everything. Like I said, you know who the protagonist or antagonist, or if there's even any type of, what can you classify Light as? That's going to be the main question at this point in the series. Because I don't even know what to classify him as. He seems like the good guy, but is he really the good guy, man? So it definitely brings a lot of stuff into question. And you as the watcher, man, you can think about all that shit. Like, man, what is Light? Is he the good guy? Is he the bad guy? Is he wrong for doing what he's doing? Not necessarily because they're all criminals when you really think about it, but call all that into question. I like series like this that'll make you think, and I heard a lot of good things about it, so I can't wait to continue it. And I'm glad I got my brother into it. So tomorrow, I'm either doing My Hero Academia or Yu Yu Hakusho. But that's it for today, man. Let me know what you guys think about this episode or this review in the comments below. If you have any suggestions on how I should change the reviewing style, let me know in the comments below. Or hell, if you want a specific series, it probably won't be added now because I have everything every day filled up pretty much. But let me know in the comments below, and I'll freaking consider that shit, man. Whatever it is. So, especially old series. But that's it for today. Ray Rawlins signing out. If you want to do me a big favor, drop a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it, man. And listen, always with every video, if you like what I did, man, share with your mammy, share with your daddy, share with your bald-headed granny who got the holes in the panties, share with that cousin who likes the familial loving, share it with your motherfucking sister that like writing on your mister, man. Share it out. I really appreciate it. You be doing me a big favor. But that is it. And I will see you guys tomorrow for whatever I got planned, man. Peace.